All right, hello everybody. Welcome to your very own personal finance experience. So most of you in here are from Coach Longus's economics class, and throughout that economics class we've been talking a little bit about your own personal finance and how to do some of that outside of high school. And as a part of that experience, I wanted to get an expert in that industry to come out and talk to you guys. And one of them, actually the only one, the first one, thankfully reached back out and was willing to give his time, him and his team time, to come and speak to you all about your personal finance future. So this is a very important topic, especially outside of high school. So I highly recommend that you listen to everything you have to say, and you all have your index cards to ask any question you would like regarding personal finance outside of high school. There should be an attendance sheet going around for those of you that signed up to be here. Sign your name on that paper to make sure you are exempt of your 6th period class. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand over the mic to Mr. Alexander Joyce, and he will get this presentation started.
Thanks, Seth. I appreciate it. This is it's fortuitous, right? I mean, for me, I speak in engagements like this, not like this in a high school, but more so on a national scale. And so anytime I'm asked to come out and educate, if you will, or show face in voice and give some wisdom, I enjoy doing it, okay? But I think that events like this should be more open, okay? As you guys write down your questions, please know this. I want this to be as open and as engaging as possible. There's no equation here. I'm not going to test you on the differences in securities and what are stocks, what are bonds. And so as you guys, just all I ask you to do is just take it serious, because I think that one of the biggest things and one of the biggest challenges there is when it comes to finance is discipline, right? And it was brought to my attention, and I was asked this a couple of weeks ago. Your first memory of money, was it spending it or saving it, right? And I know that a lot of you guys are studying maybe some basics in econ right now, or you're in Seth's, what do you have? You got some kind of like investment group and things of that nature, which is really cool. And I think what that does is it teaches you certain trends in buying habits, and you look at like breakpoints. I don't know what software you use, whether it's some kind of terminal or a Morningstar, how you're doing research, but it's good to kind of jump into some of that stuff at an early age. I'll tell you a little bit about my firm and a little bit about how I got started, because I think that for a lot of you, being this young in this stage and just kind of getting started, money is a motivator. Right? I mean, a lot of you probably have a big, bright future. You want to make as much money as you possibly can. You want to spend a bunch of money. Some of us want to maybe give some money away, or probably help your circle of influence, maybe help your parents, or whatever that looks like. It takes discipline, willpower, and dollars and cents to be able to do that. So I came from before I got to where I'm at now. I own the firm. I own each side of the firm. We're an investment advisory firm. So we do a lot of wealth management. In fact, we manage over $500 million for individual people and businesses. Those are big numbers. And we also do taxes. Okay, so we're a tax-focused firm. We do a lot of taxes. We build businesses. We do business valuations. We also do legal work. We got a bunch of attorneys running around our office. Our office is downtown Carmel. We do the same thing in Lafayette, Terre Haute, Lafayette. Okay, but listen, building a big business does not happen overnight, right? There's a lot of discipline, as you probably know, that goes into it. But I was just like you, right? I mean, I was a young kid with a dream. I was a young kid with a vision. Blue-collared family, so I came from just right between Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. I got 4 brothers and a sister. Grew up on about 700 acres of land. That was it, right? So my grandmother, we grew up. She grew up. Her daughter, my mother, grew up in the inner city of Columbus, Ohio. Called it the Hilltop, West Side. She retired. She owned some corner stores, and then when my mother got pregnant at a very young age, my grandmother sold those corner stores and moved us to a farm. I grew up there. From there, my mother became a union bricklayer. Right? So she did high-rise work in a city just like this one, downtown Cincinnati. She laid brick, she laid block, and she sent every single one of us to school. Single family, four brothers and a sister. That was us. And so my dream, my passion, my desire, right, from being very blue collared or being very poor as a youth was to give back. That was my motivator. I said I wanted to get very rich and I wanted to give my mother everything I possibly could. That was all I had. That's all I knew. That was my dream. That was my aspiration, my burning desire inside of me. And listen, it didn't happen overnight. High school, then college, actually right in between. I was telling this story on the way here. I had my first child. I was 18 years old and I had my son, right? A couple years later, I was 20 and I had my daughter. And I'm like, wow, how am I supposed to do this, right? Derailed the plan, right? I was in high school, of course, but I stuck with it, all right? Not that any of you are planning to do that, but I stuck with it. I graduated school. I went to Miami of Ohio, got an MBA and an undergrad in finance. I started my young career as a teller through school, and I took an entry role position at U.S. Bank in doing corporate finance. The reason I'm telling you this, and then shortly after that, I started my own practice, my own career. I titled my business, which is called Joyce Financial. Why I'm telling you this is because you got to stick to the plan. Whatever your goal and whatever your burning desire is, you have to stick to the plan. Money, listen, money is really, really easy to make. You can go anywhere and make some money. You can go anywhere and make a lot of money. The hardest thing, as my mentor tells me, and he's 85, he's a little older than I am. He tells me money's an easy thing to save, easy thing to get, but a really hard thing to keep. I think that is a very important message for everybody. Keeping it means this. So you can save some money. You can open up a brokerage account, right? Anybody in this room could do that. You may have already done it. You can open a brokerage account with Fidelity. You can open up a brokerage account with TD Ameritrade. You can start a Roth IRA. You can start a self-directed IRA. And you can start buying stock. It takes $100, right? $25. You can start cost dollar averaging, which means you're putting money. I'm really giving you some notes here, right? You can start cost dollar averaging, which is mean you open up your TD Ameritrade account and you can start putting $25 into that account every single month, which means through the year, if you will, 12 times, you're buying stock at a discounted price. You can buy any stock you wanted to. You can buy micro shares. You can buy ETFs. In any sector in the world that you possibly wanted to. Here's what's most important about that, ladies and gentlemen, is understanding how the money is taxed, right? Understanding how the money is taxed. I work with ultra net worth, high net worth people, and I'll tell you this, some of them think they're broke. You know why? Because they bought Apple at, let's say, $20 a share, and let's say Apple goes up to $100 a share, $500 a share. Let's say they bought it at 100, and they got 10,000 shares of it. They're trapped inside of that money because it's the cost basis is what? Have you guys learned about cost basis yet? What is cost basis? Cost basis is where you purchase an asset at. This is very important, right? So you go out there and you buy Apple stock or Amazon stock, and you buy it for $1,000 a share. Fast forward 10 years. Right, you keep buying it over the course of 10 years. That $1,000 share price goes to what? It could go to $5,000 per share. Could. We want it to, right? Because you buy the stock because you want to do what? You want to make money, right? You want to make money. That's why you bought the stock, right? So now you got $4,000 per share cost in between what you bought it at and what it's worth. You understand what I'm saying? You bought it at $1,000, worth $5,000. You got $4,000 per share capital gains trapped inside of that stock. You can realize that. They call it realizing it. You can realize that by doing what? When you realize something, what do you do with the stock when you realize it? The loss or the gain. You sell it. So in order for you to spend that money, you got to sell that stock, but you got $4,000 worth of capital gains trapped inside of it. Who's got to pay that tax bill? You do. So what do most people do? They don't sell it. So they maintain trapped in it. The goal is, ladies and gentlemen, is how do you get out from underneath of it the most tax efficient way possible to sell it, profit, move on, right? That's why there's these things called mutual funds. You ever heard of a mutual fund? What is a mutual fund? A diversified way to buy securities, right? So you can buy, instead of you buying individual stocks, because most people have no idea what to pick, they buy diversified preset portfolios, mutual funds, ETFs. Ever heard of an ETF? Exchange Traded Fund. Does anybody here know when the market opens? Opens at when? Eastern. You can say it, don't be afraid. 9:30. What time does the market close? 4 p.m. Eastern. All right? Opens at 9:30, closes at Eastern. Is it open on holidays? Don't answer that, it's a trick question. All right? No, it's closed on holidays. All right, so the market opens at 9:30, closes at 4. So you first need to know what type of security, if you're going to buy stock, and some of you are looking at that, you want to know what kind of securities or what kind of stock that you want to buy and when you can do what? Trade it, make money off of it. All right, market never sleeps, money never sleeps. That's very important to understand. Going back to the basics, so let's say that you want to buy a mutual fund. Mutual fund are diversified preset securities, so you can buy micro shares of stock. You don't have to buy the whole stock. You can buy micro shares of it, of a bunch of stocks. All right, so it's already diversified. Most people buy them, but it's very very important to understand again that how it's traded and the taxes that come with that. Taxes are very important, youngsters. Right? I mean, it's crucial that you don't give your money away and pay too much in taxes. Okay, so I'll give you some food for thought. Now, I don't know that. This school, from what I understand, I didn't go to school here, but from what I understand, this is a very, you guys are smart kids, right? I mean, you're taking it very serious, and this is a very structured program, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. I think, what comes with that naturally after you graduate high school is going to be college. And I think that one of the most important things to understand through college is being focused, right? I mean, you guys probably have a vision of what you want to do, but what is really really important to understand is being focused and see that thing through. College is expensive. College has debt. Debt has interest. Interest rates are rising. It's very expensive. It's an expensive way to do it. And so I think that what I always tell my son, he's 17, right? What I always tell my son is, hey, you know what? Be honest with yourself in terms of if you really want to go to college or not. I'm not saying you don't or if you do, but listen, there's some really great programs out there, even if you didn't. But if you do want to be a doctor or a surgeon or whatever it is that you have your heart set out to do, understand that there's no, for a lot of stuff in life as you get older, as you probably know, there's no redos in this stuff. So take it serious. I don't mean to give you a lecture, right? But it's important. It's really important. And then once you get to the first stop, which is your first career, HR is going to give you that big stack of paperwork. And this is kind of what you'll remember this conversation here today. When they give you that big stack of paperwork, it's going to be your benefits plan, right? Your benefits plan is going to be your qualified money. I'm going to give you this. Please take this away. Write this down. Remember this. There's two types of money in the eyes of the IRS. It's called qualified money and then non-qualified money. Your qualified money is going to be all of your future pre-tax dollars going into that account. That's going to be your 401k. You know what a 401k is? Your retirement plan. Your 403b if you're a teacher, right? If you're a firefighter or a government employee, it could be a 457 plan TSP. But traditionally, an IRA is going to grow tax deferred until you take the money to your pocket. Then it's taxable. That's qualified money. Qualified money equals pre-tax dollars. If you understand these two concepts, you'll go very far when it comes to money. Qualified equals what? Pre-tax. Qualified money, pre-tax. Never been taxed, grew tax deferred. At some point when you spend that money, you got to pay taxes on it. All right? The exact opposite of qualified is what? Non-qualified. Simple. Non-qualified is you cash a check, you take that check, you put it in your bank account, you take the money from your bank account, you open up a brokerage account, and you buy stock. You bought that stock with post-tax dollars. That's a brokerage account. Your brokerage account is non-qualified. Non-qualified money equals after tax. Qualified, pre-tax. So when you listen to me. When you get your benefits package, when you get your first career or career opportunity, you're going to fund your 401k. HR has no idea how this stuff works. They're not supposed to. All right, they're supposed to understand that this stuff is supposed to be in your new hire packet. So when you ask them questions about your 401k, a lot of them legally can't give you direction. What should I invest in? They don't know. Please understand, they don't know. They're not supposed to. They're not investment advisor representatives. They're HR, right? They do the hiring and sometimes they're involved in the firing, right? You're at that time in life. You're an adult. You're grown woman, grown man. You have to make your own decisions. Part of my job is coaching people that come in that are in 401ks by the millions. They have no idea what they're invested in. They have no idea what they're invested in. People don't know what a stock is versus a debt, right? Debts are what? You buy debt, you buy a what? A bond. Please remember that. There's two ways to acquire off of a corporation's balance sheet. Google, Apple, Pfizer, Moderna, Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. Doesn't matter who it is. You could buy equity in the company. You're a shareholder. You could buy their what? Stock. Stock is equity. All right? Stock is equity in the corporation. You can actually vote in the board of directors if you wanted to. The right side of the balance sheet of a corporation is their what? Their debt. When you buy a corporation's debt, you buy their what? We just said it. You buy their bonds. Bonds are debt. Debt is rated just like your future credit score, which we'll get into, right? Very important. Debt goes from a AAA, highest rated quality, all the way down to NR. What do you think NR means? Not rated, right? When a corporation is not rated anymore, what did it do? It defaulted, which means it did what? It closed its doors, which means your money did what? Went from 100 to what? 0. All right? That's very important to understand. Okay? So when you buy debt, again, when you open up your 401k or your qualified retirement account, you want your money to grow tax deferred. You want your money to be not taxed up until a certain portion. You work there for 20 years, 25 years, you want to do what? Maybe what your parents did. You want to retire, all right? You're very young. So there's certain things that you can't rely on, period. All right, I'm 35, 36. All right, just turned 36 last week, so I'm relatively young. And the same thing for my generation, especially your generation, you can't rely on government-funded programs, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. You can't rely on that. You got to rely on your own personal savings. It's crucial. All right, you have to rely on your own personal savings. 3 buckets I'll tell you to start. Again, qualified money, pre-tax dollars, that's going to be your IRA, your 401k. Second is going to be your non-qualified account, your brokerage account, your self-directed brokerage account. The third one, a Roth, R-O-T-H. One's taxed, this is very important. IRAs are taxed as ordinary income at your tax bracket. I know that's heavy. Brokerage accounts are going to be taxed as capital gains on the growth of the account. And Roths are taxed what? Say it. Tax-free. Tax-free. So you want as much tax-free money as possible. Okay, you want as much tax-free money as possible. That's your 3-legged stool. That's my big takeaways for you today. Again, understand not so much how to save, which is very important. Understand what you're saving for. I'm not talking about your goal, right? Not your tangible object like a car. I know that's short-term, but have your short-term, mid-term, long-term goals. Know how your money is being taxed. Because eventually, like let's fast forward an old you, 72, right? It's a long time, right? 72 years old, you're forced to start taking money. You're forced to start taking distributions. They call it a required minimum distribution. It means nothing for you today. And in fact, it's a variable target, but it is a target. It means the government is forcing you to start spending your money down whether you like it or not. And if you don't, there's a 50% penalty. They have a recipe already made out for you, right? The instructions that they've given is for you to outlive your money, period. The goal is not to do that naturally, okay? So we want to make sure that, the reason I'm doing this is because no one did this for me. I know that a lot of this is like, wow, what did this guy say? This is one ear out the other, okay? But again, certain things I really want you to take away are going to be qualified monies, pre-tax, post-tax, non-qualified, Roth IRA, tax-free. If you know those concepts and you have that 3-legged stool, you will go very, very far. You'll know 90% of what most people don't. Okay? The people that I work with that are the richest, right? That's what people ask me all the time, right? So we work with anywhere from athletes to brain surgeons to rocket scientists, right? And normal people, right? Normal people that are sending people like you to school and they've spent all their money doing so, right? I really like working with those people. I really do. Okay? But listen, the thing is, the goal is the same. They all have issues. They're all just normal people, right? They all have the same concern. Maybe they do one thing in their life right. That's work. Hit the alarm button at 5 o'clock in the morning. Work all day. Get home at 6. Eat dinner. Go to bed. Right? They don't know this side of the business. So the more you retain and understand, young, if you will, the better off you'll be. The wealthier you'll be. Okay. What questions you guys got?
I got all of their questions right here if you want to start answering some of them.
Sure. Okay, Jordan. Who's Jordan? Jordan, how are you? Good. What do we got? Okay. Yeah, so Jordan asks, what is the best or a great way to gain some money, gain some finance while being a student? You know what? You will be surprised how many people I meet with that have tons of money, but they have absolutely no budget. They have no budget. I ran into a guy that this is a couple years ago. I always remember it. I ran into a guy at Walmart. I was shopping at Walmart. So part of my business, we're really big in the media, and so we do TV shows. We're partners with Purdue on the athletic side, so we work directly with Matt Painter. We work with IU. We work with Mike Woodson. We work with Thad Mata Butler, and so we do a lot of stuff in the media. So I'm recognized a lot in the outs, right, on the normal shopping at a grocery store. And so this guy walks up to me, and he says, Alex? I said, yeah. He's like, man, I watch your show all the time. I said, I appreciate that. He said, tell me something. He's with a group of his friends. And he said, how do I save $1? You know what I said to him? Save $1. He said, no. How do I save $1? And I said, save $1. He kept asking me, and eventually he was getting frustrated because he thought maybe I was poking him a little bit. But it's as simple as that. I think that when people, I know sometimes spending, right? And my mentor, again, he's told me this when I was very young. He said, take this for what it's worth, all right? But he said that some people will always be broke no matter how much money they make. You understand what I mean? Maybe that'll soak in later, right? But some people will always be broke no matter how much money they make. And I know some people like that in my personal life, right? I mean, I know some people, maybe you do, right? You're old enough to identify what that looks like, right? They don't save anything. They just spend everything. They got credit, they got debt. They have credit card debt. They have debt, more debt than they know how to manage. Maybe it's for you, right? Maybe you wish it was for you, right? But listen, you have to have a budget and you have to know what your expenses are. Even if you're not meeting them, even if your income is $1,000 a month and you're spending $2,000 a month, there's power in knowing. You have to be able to identify and know that, because perhaps you want to change that. And if you hide from that and you're ignorant to that, you can't change anything, and it only compounds and makes it worse. All right? So the first thing I would do, before buying a stock, before buying a bond, before buying anything, is I would just T-sheet your expenses. What goes in, what goes out? What do you want to come in? What do you want to go out? Maybe you have a vision of making $100,000 a year, right? By 25 years old, you want to make $100,000 a year, right? For what? You want to save how much of it? How much of it do you want to save? How much of it do you want to go out, right? So you have a house. Think about mortgages. Think about what you want to own, and think about, right? And it's listen. I still today have the biggest imagination. Right? I think about this stuff all the time. You got to dream big. If you want to be big, you got to dream real big. But you know what separates people that think big and don't do it? Of course, it's laziness, right? But you have to see it to be able to seize it. So it's okay to be a big thinker, but you have to execute if you want it. That's what's going to separate, the men from the boys. Okay? So if there's something that you want and you're dreaming about, and it's something you really want, and you can see it, you can almost touch it, you're going to have to execute it. And so you have to write your expenses down. You have to write your budgets down. You have to manage your money. You can't just go out there and shoot from the hip. It ain't going to work. I promise you. Right? And you can't say to yourself, listen, because I've worked with some of the richest, you cannot say to yourself, well, I'll make so much money, it won't even matter. Right? It won't even matter. I'll have so much money coming in, it won't even matter. It will matter. Because even the richest people I work with, they still have a fear of outliving their money because they have a what? Lifestyle. It's all relative. It's all relative. Okay? So you have to remember, it's all relative. Being wealthy, being rich, it's all relative, but you have a lifestyle to fund, and it's hungry. You have to feed it. Okay? You got to feed it. You got to keep up with it. All right? So manage your expenses. Manage your inflows, outflows. This is no different. You can literally Google Excel budget spreadsheet, and boom, there it is. Just download it. Put your stuff in there. You can do it right now because you spend money right now. I don't care if it's at the Gatorade machine. Right now. Right? Know what you have going out. Know what you expect or do have coming in, and manage it. Once you manage that, you can move up and say, hey, you know what? I got $10. I have $10 extra every month. That's a great start. I've got $25. Then we can talk about how do we want to invest that. All right, how we want to invest that. Maybe it's back into you, because no matter what, listen, take this away. You got to pay yourself first. You got to pay yourself first. If you don't pay yourself, first. Listen, somebody else will. They'll pay themselves. I promise you. All right, you'll be paying somebody else if you don't pay yourself first. All right, so great question. I really appreciate it. I hope that helped. All right, what do we got here? We got Jonathan Medina right next to him. How about that? All right, Jonathan. Best ways to save for retirement. How much did you invest at an early age to be successful in the future? So there's this crazy thing called, I'm gonna give you a couple ways. Compound interest. All right, so I believe in triple compounded interest. So that again is the definition of a qualified account. Qualified account is going to be your first opportunity to really save, because still what we have is matching accounts, 401ks, once again, qualified money. What happens when you get a job? Generally, if you have a decent job, your employer will match you. So you want to at least start out with 100% of the matching contribution, right? You contribute 6%, they match 6%. So you want to contribute 100% of the match, minimally. Then you can go from there. That's a good start. Triple compound interest, you're getting interest on your principal, interest on your interest, and interest on the money that you would have paid in taxes. That's triple compounding. Your money will grow really fast that way. Plus they're matching. They're giving you free money. So if you're putting in 10%, they're putting in 6%, you get 16% a month going in, okay, of your income, going in pre-tax, so you're not even, it's forced savings. You're paying yourself first. Never saw the money. It's just going right to your qualified plan. All right, that's a good starting point. Once you get that, then you can start your next venture. Your next venture would be your brokerage account. After that would be your Roth account. Then you're building your three-legged stool. Those 3 legs will make you 7 figures before you know it, okay? That's how you do that. All right, that's how you do that. Thanks, Jonathan. Ali. In the back? Okay, hey Ali, how are you? Yeah, she asked how old I am. So I just turned last week 36. I'm old. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I am getting older. Yeah, listen, I started investing, I was probably 17, 18 years old. I bought my first stock. All right, I've been investing ever since. I've tried all kinds. I've dabbled in the real estate. I've bought houses. I've bought businesses. I have flipped businesses. I have done all kinds of investments. I have bought any kind of stock you can think of within moral. I believe in morals, right? I have personal biases towards some companies. When you start getting big or educated on what you're buying, you turn to two sides. Once you get sophisticated, if you will, so there's two sides of investors, okay, or people that are buying money buying money, but buying stock or investments at a very high level. There's a tech and there's a fundamentalist. All right, and so once you start really understanding how the market works and what you're buying, you want to understand what side you're on. Right, so a tech is gonna only look. They don't care about biases of the company. They don't care about company retention. They don't care about executives in the company, how long they've been a part of the organization. They don't care about the CEOs. They don't care about ethics or morals. They care about lines of resistance, benchmark breakpoints, and kind of make money today. That's what they care about. They are buying the stock solely for performance. They sell it as soon as they profit. Fundamentalists will understand the values, will understand the board of directors, what the CEO's vision is. You see what I'm saying? And so they'll buy into those, and those sometimes are long. Those are more buy and hold positions, because when you buy a stock, you're either short or you're long. So when you buy a stock long, you intend to hold it for a long period of time. Short, right? You're going to either short it, which is a different conversation of options, but you don't intend to hold it that long. Okay, so in layman's terms. So I've been investing a very, very, very long time, and I certainly invest in my own personal business every single day. Okay, every single day. So thank you for asking, Ellen. Jacob, where's Jacob at? How you doing? If you were 16, and you had $1,000 so to invest, what would you do with it? That's a great question. Gentleman asked, if you were 16, you had $1,000 to invest, where would you put it? So I'm gonna give you, my insight. So I'm gonna kind of take age a little bit out of it. So if you mean invest like in the market, again, these are opinions. These are not recommendations, so you guys know, right? That's the disclosure. I think that naturally where you guys are, the day and age that you're living in is what some of the big companies are buying. Big companies and big investors are buying. That is tech. You live in a very tech-heavy world, right? And so I'll give you a couple of companies like stock that I've just recently bought, right? I'll give you that. I'll give you like my top 10. Would be Salesforce is a good company. Salesforce is a fantastic company. I think that I'd say a really good fund, that you could buy that kind of takes all these and you can afford it, takes all these tech companies and shoves them in one. QQQ Invesco is a great fund. QQQ Invesco, that's a great fund. Very, very, very profitable fund. But listen, what you're doing now, ladies and gentlemen, young ladies and gentlemen, is you're buying super low. Okay, so that's what you do. You want to buy anything at a discount. Right, so Macy's is having a 75% off sale. That's what you're buying stocks at. All right, but also understand this: as you're buying stocks or mutual funds or whatever it is, you have to understand this. You'll see this word called CAP, C-A-P at the end of all of it. It's very important to know what that CAP means because it's used very loosely, like everything in my industry. That means capitalization. So when you see large cap, mid cap, small cap. All that means is how capitalized the company is. Vera Bradley, it's a clothing store. Vera Bradley, you can pass it right after the Nestle store, headed to Fort Wayne. Vera Bradley is a mid-cap company. Google is a what? Large cap. Why? Because I got $1 trillion valuation. Okay, and so understand that as you're buying things. So again, I'd buy technology. I would hold it. Because again, you'll ride it on the way up. That's an easy for me to say. But I think that's a big place that I would be. Thank you, sir. Giovanni, sir, how are you? Good. Do you have any tips, tricks, or advice for making money and things to avoid? Yeah, I do. Things to avoid. If it's it's simple, right? If it talks like a duck, right? Quacks like a duck, it's a duck. There's no cutting corners on this thing. Really, to be honest with you, I mean there is some. I'm probably amongst some of the greatest tech minds of all time in this room, right? And so there is that. There are people that develop software. There are the people that develop technology and they sell it to like Google, right? There is that. But in terms of making a lot of money and growing a lot of money, it's a long game. It's a long game. Everybody's after it. And so stay in your lane, keep your circle tight, especially when it comes to money. Get good advice. Don't lose money, right? Don't lose money. Trick number one, don't lose money. Make good advice, get good advice. Some of the people that, some of the worst portfolios I've seen from older people, like in their 60s, are do-it-yourselfers, right? Do-it-yourselfers. And I'm not saying that you can't get really, really, really good at doing it yourself, but listen, I'm never going to get really good at changing my own oil. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get on the roof and assess how bad the hail damage is and replace my own roof. I'm going to trust it to a professional. I'm going to get good advice. I'm going to be educated enough to know what to ask. I'm getting proper advice. I'm not going to be ignorant to the facts, right? Just like why you're here today. You are empowering yourselves, right? But when it comes to execution, I'm going to trust that to experts. Get good advice. Don't ignore the fact that money's a serious thing. But at the same time, don't be afraid, right? Be cautious, be educated, but don't be afraid to trust either. Okay, because money's tough. Money is tough. Okay, so I hope that helps. Hugo, you sir. Yeah, what made me successful? This young man asks. So, I believe this is a tough question for me to answer for myself. You have to ask other people around me. My heart, yeah. I'm a giver, that's for sure. I give too much. But, man, I think I'm the hardest working man in the business. That's it. I think I'm the hardest working man in the business. I mean, I think that, my dedication to it. I'm up every morning at 5 a.m. I'm in the gym every morning at 5:30, 5:45, right? After I leave here, I got to check back in the office, and I got a seminar tonight. I'll be speaking at Sullivan's Steakhouse. I got a big engagement there. It's going to last till about 9 o'clock, right? So I probably won't be home till about 10. Started my day at 5 a.m. That's every single day. That's 7 days a week. I mean, that's my motivation, right? I mean, you look at some of the greatest players of all time. You look at Kobe Bryant. You look at I don't know who, you look at some of the greatest of Ken Griffey. You look at some of the greatest ball players or athletes, right? I mean, they are constantly after it. So you're only as good as the effort that you put in. So if you want to be one of the greatest, you got to be one of the greatest. You don't talk about it, you do it, you execute. And so that's, I think, what separates me from most of the people that are in my industry. We're in the independent channel. And so, my name is on the wall. And so, my job is to get people to walk through that door, feed my advisors, have my team talk to people. All right, that is my responsibility, and I take it very serious. All right, thanks for asking, sir. Julio, sir, what can I do for you? Smartest and safest investment you can make right now. Great question. Cash is an asset class. Cash is an asset class. I'll tell you this, most people thought they were making very wise decisions this year, end of last year, third, fourth quarter, by taking their money out of stocks and putting the money into bonds. But please understand this, what they didn't know is that bonds and interest rates are 100% inverse. You know what inverse means? Negatively correlated. You know what that means? They move in opposite directions every single time. What that means is this: interest rates go up, bonds go down. People buy bonds in a portfolio for safety, right? So when interest rates go up, their safety is going down. That's very important. So safest place, sit on your cash until you are confident of your next strategic move, all right? Cash is an asset class. So one of the most powerful asset classes today is cash. All right? There's no reason the market will take from you. Promise you that. It'll take from you. So there is no reason right now to be overzealous. All right? There's no reason to be super excited to go hurry up and do that. You have time. That's what makes this conversation very easy. You have time. All right? So when things start to correct themselves, and it's a little bit of a political conversation I will not get into, but you'll know. If you follow anything about the market or you study money, you'll know when the right time is. Okay? Use technology, use software, use indicators. All right, lean on some of your favorite analysts. All right, I mean there's so much. Most of 75% of our job is research, and once we have a good idea of what we're researching and believe in it, we'll make a move. All right, but we're in no rush right now. All right. All right. One more question. This one has no name. All right, are stocks the best way to save money? No. Stocks are not the best way to save money. Stocks are a long game. They are not the best way to save money. The best way to save money is by creating a budget and setting some aside. I don't care if it's in an interest-bearing account or a checking account, savings account, or a shoebox. I don't care. That's the best way to save money. You're forced to save money. Paying yourself first is the best way to save money. How to invest money? That's going to determine your risk tolerance and your risk appetite. That determines how much money that you want to risk on your money to make money. That's what that's going to make, right? So but certainly, certainly not that. So, but again, the State of the Union since equities were around, we're talking about Great Depressions, interest rate spikes, 2000, 2008. Right now, the market has averaged a little over 7%. So take that for what it's worth. All right. Any last questions? Hey guys, I appreciate you spending about 45 minutes with me. All right? Have a good life.
Yeah, can we get a hand to Mr. Joyce here?